it's been a long and emotional night in the Carabao Cup, to give it its proper name. Maybe not quite so emotional. So I hope you will forgive me if we get straight to the question.
You're forgiven.
Straight to the question. First question should probably be, why?
Well, that's as a man who's going on holiday in a couple of days. We're leaving your ESPN FC colleagues while you're on a flight. I shan't mention where you're going, but it's very exotic for a couple of weeks while we just crack on over Christmas.
Where's he going?
Nobody told me that.
It's not Paris, I can tell you that. But Christian wants to know whether Jose might be on his way to Paris if Man United don't pony up the funds to keep up with Man City.
Why would PSG want Jose Mourinho? At the present time, PSG play open, attacking, scintillating, exciting, goal-laden, chance after chance type of
Keep the adjective
soccer. So why would they want Jose Mourinho to come in and mess it all up?
You don't think Neymar wants Mourinho to tell him to track back? You don't think he's just sitting there waiting for that?
I don't think so.
No. They have spent money though, Craig.
Yeah, lots.
Yeah. How much? About 600 million since Fergie left.
That's what you told me earlier.
You knew that. He knew that.
But still, it's not enough to keep up with City, apparently.
No, it's not. Like, Jose Mourinho coveted this Man United job for quite some time. Now that he's got it, I don't see him giving it up this quickly into his tenure, regardless of what's happening on the side.
United fans seem to have got an awful bout of the jealousy very quickly, haven't they?
Are they letting you know that?
I think they're letting everybody know. I mean, they seem to think that we drive all our show about Man City for some obscure reason other than they're absolutely fantastic at the moment. I mean, it's quite beggars belief, really. I mean, maybe tomorrow we can start talking about Swansea.
No. What we will do is start talking.
Shaka can talk about Burnley because he loves Burnley.
We will.
Tomorrow.
He loves David Moyes.
Tomorrow for that as well.
We will, I'm sure, in the days ahead, be talking a lot about El Clasico coming up.
No, you'll not know. You'll be on a plane.
No, I will be somewhere else. I won't be
watching.
I won't be in Madrid. But in Madrid, do you think?
So it's not Paris, and it's not Madrid. We're getting there.
But it's exotic.
But it's exotic.
That's all.
Tell him where you're going, for God's sake. Tell him where you're going. I'm going to Hawaii. He's got to Hawaii.
You see, I was about to say there'll be drinks with umbrellas.
Big time Charlie.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm going to Hawaii. There's no Clasico.
Big
There's
time
no.
Charlie.
If I want to watch El Clasico, I'm going to have to. Actually, I'll just stay up the night before and watch it.
You can't go to Florida or anything like that like the rest of us.
You're not going to watch a Clasico.
Hawaii.
Your feet are going to be in the pool, in the jacuzzi.
Oh, why don't we go to Florida or Boca? Oh, no. I think we'll go to Hawaii.
Us play-by-play, we don't go to Florida. We go to Hawaii for Christmas and nothing, no expense spared.
We'll right, we'll go to Florida and then we can go to Disney and then see if we can get some tickets and have Sunday.
It's called frequent flyer miles, by the way.
But
Which you do get a lot of as a play-by-play game. I will admit that. Yeah. But
have you got your boat there?
Well, I hope it. Well, I tell you what, I don't want to spoil your Christmas, but I hope it rains.
Oh, the spirit of goodwill is flowing around this table.
Does it rain in Hawaii? I don't know. It must do at some point. I don't know.
Do you think Bale should start in Madrid? Or should he come on in the second half? Just to bring the tone back down to and away from Hawaii.
Do you mind if we can get fit first?
Yeah. Well,
chance?
Mbappe to Madrid asks this question. Do you think he should start?
You won't know because you won't be watching.
No, I might. I might yet be able to watch it. It's on about midnight in Hawaii.
Oh, you'll be doing all that Hawaiian dancing with the locals and the flowers round you and giving it all whatever they do. I don't know.
What is it? That one?
I don't think anything I'm going to see.
That's it.
I don't think anything I'm going to see in Hawaii can possibly match.
I've done this before, by the way.
That visual.
I can't remember. I must have a couple of beers, didn't we?
There's no point going now. I've seen it. Just put some of that shrubbery in your hair, and we'll be all set.
That's not holiday. You've got everything you need right here.
What? I know. Come round my house.
ESPN FC, I've never heard of them. Never heard of those guys.
Sorry. Why are Man City struggling a little bit, says Madusha, against small sides? Where are they struggling a little bit?
They need to go to Hawaii.
Lost the game yet.
Need to go to Hawaii on a regular basis.
Leicester took them to penalties. Is that a struggle?
West Ham nearly
Is
beat
that a
them.
little bit of a struggle? West Ham nearly beat him. Well,
He's reserve.
yeah.
West
You know-
Ham.
West.
I nearly beat them.
You're not going to answer any of these questions today,
No.
are we? Let's
Steve,
just go back to Hawaii.
Steve, remind me where he's going again.
I'll tell you where he's gone. I'll tell you what where he's gone. I'm better on this side, actually. It seems to be a lot easier on the left.
Tell you what, you do look like a local.
You really do.
Yeah, you.
Without the grass skirt, maybe.
Right, that's it. We're going. Book the flights. We're going.
Where will
with you.
where will Anton Griezmann? I'll
many
give
questions
this,
have you got
give this
here?
one more go. Where will Anton Griezmann be playing next season?
Hawaii.
Not
Hawaii
FC Hawaii.
FC.
I was going
Hawaii
to say
FC.
not Hawaii.
Hawaii FC have just joined the MLS. They've come
FC,
late
Big Island.
with a bid, and he's going to move to their MLS.
Honolulu United. That's where I'm going.
That's the new
MLS.
franchise.
Don't be
You
surprised.
heard it here first.
Yeah.
Honolulu FC. That's the new franchise. Don Garber's there now.
Right.
Telling you,
Nashville.
happening.
Nashville eat
It's a
your heart.
scouting trip he's going on.
Expansion galore. You could coach them.
That's what I'm going there to make the announcement.
Stevie could be the pre-match entertainment. It's all sorted.
There you go.
All right, there's nowhere left to go after this.
I will
Except
skirt for
Hawaii. That's where I'm going.
I'll put my grass skirt on for you as well.
Oh,
It'd be-
good, no, no.
Can't be a fine
Please do
We
it.
should be so lucky. All right, I'm off. These guys.
We're going.
Oh, you're off.
We're going.
Oh, you're going early.
These guys you can see on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Actually, I've got a game with you to do first, Craig. We'll have a reaction to that.
I'm doing it now, will you?
That Borussia Dortmund buying game on the next edition of the show. ESPN News. Ozil's contract is going to be expiring. What's your thought on him? Polarising figure. Is he going to find a better situation than the one he has now in North London?
I'm not so sure. First of all, I think his preferred choice is very much to stay at Arsenal. And of course, it's down to him to make himself indispensable, or at least attractive enough to get the kind of deal that he wants. And I think Arsenal are still sort of weighing up their options. They perhaps haven't pushed quite as hard enough as he and his advisors would have liked. It's a different situation to Alexis Sanchez, who's very much made up his mind he was going to be off. Ozil still wants to stay. And I'm not sure he will find a better setup for him. I don't think there's necessarily an option in the Premier League available. I don't buy all these stories about Mourinho and Man United interested in him. I just don't think that's credible. And then you have to look at going back to Spain, where he's already been at Real Madrid. That makes things complicated. Or back to Germany, where I don't think there's that much of a market for him right now. So I think he wants to stay, and I think Arsenal will in the end decide that he is, even at a higher wage, still a cheap option to sign for free effectively than looking for a replacement.
Ralph, 1 second, Adrian, sorry. Ralph, if you say Man United potentially is not credible under Mourinho for Mesut Ozil, is that purely down to the type of player Ozil is in terms of his work rate? Because if say they get Mata out and Mkhitaryan out, particularly Mkhitaryan, would there be no chance, in your opinion, of Ozil pitching up there? Because certainly in a better team, in a better structure, we'd see a better Mesut Ozil.
Well, I didn't say no chance. I just don't believe that right now they're in the market for him. I think January is not going to happen. And I think if you look at what Mourinho has told us, and if you take it at face value, he was looking for an out-and-out wide player. He wants a winger, and he wanted a second striker, a Greizmann figure. Of course, if those players that you just mentioned leave, maybe there is a space for more of a playmaker type. But then again, these types traditionally struggle in Mourinho's teams because he doesn't really play with them. And you can go back to Joe Cole and Kevin De Bruyne and all these guys. They don't last very long.
Raph,
So I just don't see that it's a natural fit, shall we put it this way.
Raph, what's your take? Is he a world-class player, Mesut Ozil, or is he part-time world-class?
I think it's not controversial to say that he should be more consistent, that he should show us the full extent of what he can do, which is amazing, more often than not. Perhaps at another club with more pressure, we'd see more of that. Perhaps Arsenal are a bit too comfortable. Perhaps he's a bit too comfortable at this kind of place. But at the same time, he plays and he still starts for one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the world in Germany. He plays in one of the best teams in the Premier League. So unless you define world class only as Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, he is definitely in the next tier of players who are very, very good. But that doesn't mean that he will necessarily have lots of offers available, because he is not perhaps the right age to walk into many clubs right now.
Well, fortunately, we have got Mesut Ozil's biggest ever fan in the history of the universe sat next to us at this very studio.
And I'm sitting here slightly shocked, to be honest with you, when you know, on the one hand, Raf's saying that how good he is. He plays for Germany, who maybe arguably the best national team in the planet. He plays for one of the top clubs, and then he turns around and says, "Well, I don't really see much of a choice for him anywhere outside outside Arsenal." How is that possible? Is there really that many great players around that nobody's interested in Ozil?
Raf?
Sorry.
I don't think that it's not so many players are not interested in, or that there is not the market for him. I think it's more down to the type of player he is and how many teams want to play that way. I mean, I think he needs a team, and that's why we have that Germany debate every single time. Germany play the Mesut Ozil game, but for him to get that same setup, I think it's very difficult. Barcelona, maybe on paper, would be the closest they've come, but they don't really have a need for that kind of player at the moment. He's already been at Real Madrid. So, you know, you're struggling. You're struggling to see him in a Conte team. You're struggling to see, although Manchester City play that way, Manchester City have no need for him right now. And you can go through the list of the top 10 teams or top 5 teams in the world, and I don't think there are that many options for him.
What about Bayern Munich, Raf? Would they be an option?
I don't think so. Bayern don't really feel that they need that kind of number 10 as long as Thiago is there. If you were to move on, then maybe there's an option. But Bayern have a different problem. The Bayern have this issue, and Thomas Müller, who's a number 10 in position, or plays behind Lewandowski anyway. If he's not starting, there's a big problem. So if you've got Ozil or somebody who's playing in the hole behind the striker, then you have a constant political debate and trouble. So I don't think they want to do that. It's bad enough that they got, in inverted commas, players like Thiago and James Rodriguez there who are fighting Thomas Müller for a place. I don't think they want the headache of Mesut Ozil there as well.
Believe it or not, this is the 7th year running that Bayern Munich will take on Borussia Dortmund in the German Cup. The last 6, as you can see, have been split evenly, 3 wins apiece. This is what Kicker had to say in advance of the big game, calling it Der Klasse KO. The best at the end, of course, is the last game before the winter break in Germany. So that warrants a visit from Raf Honigstein. Raf, this is the weekend where we're looking forward to El Clasico in Spain, of course. Just by comparison, how big is this now in general, Bayern and Dortmund going against each other?
Well, whether the name has taken or not, it is the German Klassiker. It is the game that has defined the whole decade from the Jurgen Klopp era onwards, 10-11. It's always been Bayern Dortmund as far as the titles were concerned. And as far as the cups were concerned, very few exceptions as well. And because Dortmund come off this from really a horrific first half of the season, and Bayern have sort of steadied the ship, lots of people make Bayern favourites. But remember what happened the last 2 times. Dortmund travelled to the Allianz Arena in a cup. They both won those games. So it's going to be very interesting, because strange things tend to happen in the DFB Pokal.
Well, you mentioned the current form, Raf. How would you describe the current form? Because both of them coming in on the back of wins over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern very much restored back to doing what they tend to do, which is to win. Doesn't even matter, you know, they play badly, they win, they play well, they win a bit better. Jupp Heynckes has brought back that sort of confidence and that sort of kind of autopilot way of playing football that they can afford most of the time in the Bundesliga. For Dortmund, it's a little bit different. Peter Stöger coming in, picking up a bit more of a pragmatic setup, slightly more defensive, slightly more reactive. I think they will enjoy playing away from home more than at home, because against Hoffenheim in the league on Saturday, they didn't look all that convincing. They were quite open at the back, like we used to see them under Peter Bosz. So I think going to Munich, playing on the counter-attack against the Bayern team that has looked a little bit sluggish at the back still, will suit them well.
Raf, Aubameyang is a doubt for the game against Bayern. His whole Dortmund future seemed to be a doubt just a few weeks ago, but now we're reading reports that he signed a contract extension. So what exactly happened?
Well, the contract extension has been signed, but it has not been made official. The sporting director, Michael Zorc, sort of gave the game away. Aubameyang, in a very cryptic tweet, also kind of confirmed it without really confirming it. And I think the big announcement is obviously planned for after the game. He might not feature. He did travel to Munich, but he's a big doubt. I don't think he'll start. He might be captain reserve for later on in the second half, possibly. And I don't think him signing a new deal to 2021 doesn't actually mean that Dortmund would still be quite happy to sell him. It was only on Sunday when Zorc kind of relayed the news that he again made the point that they've had a real problem with him with punctuality. And of course, punctuality in Germany is very important, as you can imagine. They're really not entirely happy. And I think they were almost a little bit disappointed that no one came in and put 70 or 80 million euros on the table this summer. Maybe it happens next year.
Finally, on the game, Raf, you mentioned that managers earlier on, Jupp Heynckes and Peter Stöger, it's been described as the Caretakers Cup final. Two managers are in temporary charge. Any chance that either of them will stay on permanently, do you think?
Well, as for Bayern, there's no chance. I mean, they would love Jupp Heynckes to stay. Uli Hoeneß keeps pushing the button, keeps sort of trying to maneuver the situation to get Heynckes to stay another year. But Heynckes has categorically said, absolutely no chance, I'm not going to do it. And he's very annoyed, actually, that Bayern are trying this with him. Peter Stöger, I think, is there because they're trying to get Julian Nagelsmann in. Of course, a manager that Bayern have been interested in, are still slightly interested in, but maybe not as much as Dortmund at this point. And I think he's a bit of an insurance policy because Hoffenheim will fight tooth and nail not to let Nagelsmann go, or if they let him go, to really extract an extraordinary amount of money from Dortmund to free him out of his contract 1 year early. So Dortmund could now say, you know, you don't let him go, we can wait until his contract expires in 2019. We have in Peter Stöger somebody who will not, make a total mess of the season. But they still much prefer for Nagelsmann to come in the summer.
Here we are with Kyle Martino. These are your old stomping grounds.
It's
at
good
one
to see
point.
you.
It's good to see you.
It was a lot harder to get in this time than last time I was here.
Just for good reason. Running for U.S. president's been a few weeks under your belt now, so you've been able to see everything that's out there. Looking to the first moment that that really changed this country, where the outrage was there, where the United States not qualifying the World Cup, it was tangible. I felt it. So many people felt it. We saw it on social media. When you saw it, is that something that really fortified you going to this next step and running for U.S. soccer president?
Well, yeah, it didn't make up my mind, but it was hysteria, and the type of hysteria that can, when channeled, create change, positive change. But you just have to make sure you channel it in the right directions, and it's not isolated to fans. Obviously, fans were heartbroken, but it made it all the way up to the board level. On October 11th, Donna Shalala, one of the independent directors, tweeted, we need to wake up, we need a revolution. I agree with her partly. We need to wake up, and we have, but we don't need a revolution. I mean, that's the sort of hysteria we don't need right now. There are many wonderful people working within this game locally at the association level. I'm on the phone with them all day long, and there's wonderful people working within U.S. soccer. We just haven't integrated it all and modernized the system and aren't all pulling in the same direction. But, you know, you fail to qualify for World Cups. Ask the Netherlands, ask Italy, ask Chile. I mean, great soccer nations fail to qualify because there is ups and downs. I mean, there are ups and downs in competitive sport, any competitive sport. But the problem with U.S. soccer is while those waves have been coming, the tide's also been going out, which makes me think of Warren Buffett's quote that when the tide goes out, you see who's swimming without a bathing suit. And the U.S. Soccer Federation has been swimming without a bathing suit based on not having the right leadership and also not empowering the right people to make technical decisions. We've been doing it in a way that has stymied progress, especially on the field progress, but also you just have to look right now and make sure you channel the hysteria towards the right issues. This is not a top of the pyramid problem. Everything's okay up there. We have to make sure that we don't...
Top of the pyramid being the U.S., the national team, and the professional level.
And that sort of elite idea. Okay. The biggest problem, if I find any panacea to try to fix this, is that the Federation has shirked its member services responsibility. The largest part of the membership feels disconnected from and also just not heard, not understood by the Federation.
And look, I don't. You have a website, Everyone's Games USA, so you can see more about your platform, and you have those 3 pillars: transparency, equality, and progress.
Yeah.
And not to diminish anything, and obviously there with equal pay and certain issues there that need to be resolved. With regards to the U.S. soccer team, this is the one thing people want: those results. In order to get that U.S. soccer, the U.S. men's national team where it can compete, where we think they can compete, what are those steps that need to be taken in a short term to help for the long-term builds?
Well, what you need to make sure you don't do is think that hiring a coach and these other things that are in the media, that are big stories right now, is the focus. The U.S. isn't going to have a competitive game for another year in terms of something that actually matters. Now, developing players and finding right coaches, all of this is important. One thing that I'm going to do is hire a technical director. Basically, in the past, our president has been a technical director. And, you know, I may be qualified to do that position, but no one should unilaterally be making high-level macro decisions like picking coaches or extending coaching contracts or also making high-level decisions like the PDI. So the Player Development Initiative was a way to improve quality at the top of the pyramid, to find young kids and funnel them upwards so that they were prepared for the professional level, the international level, and you grow a national team. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. Some of those ideas are great, but I'll point to one of them in the PDI that's been a big mistake and shows that the Federation isn't in touch with the local level. There was a birth chart change, right? So, you know, you figure out who's going to be on a team based on calendar year, birth year. And so we went away from how we did in the past to try to align with some of the European countries, forgetting that the majority of kids play this game because they love it, because it's fun, it's about health, it's about wellness, it's about community. And they came up with a rule that split up best friends from the Federation level. So
that's no fun.
That is no fun. And I'm on the phone with these kids, with these parents, with these directors of coaching at the association level. And they immediately said, this is a mistake. And the document that U.S. Soccer put out when they made that decision was a 58-page document. On page 3, it said, do not treat our 12-year-olds like World Cup winners. And that's exactly what they did with this decision. So I think if you get the bottom of the pyramid right, if you focus on the membership that's the biggest, if we stop losing kids, we lose 50% of them before they're the age of 10. Because they're not having fun anymore. Mia Hamm, a World Cup winner, said that to me the other day. She said, Kyle, there's an epidemic that kids aren't enjoying it anymore.
Simple ways to resolve some issues there. Look, I know time is short here, but we'll have a longer discussion on the digital platforms here at ESPN FC and our podcast. No, Hercules isn't here.
I love you, Herc. I'm sorry you're not here.
This is with Stu Holden's kicking for Houston to raise some money. You got to play a little bit.
Yes, even the old guys
You let yourself
have fun.
go a little bit.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, the gray hair, I still have the Panenka. But, you know, pointing to a couple fans that weren't there. But, you know, that kind of actually, you know, we joke. The adult game is so important. I'm an adult player now. I pay my money to, on Tuesday nights, go and play in a league. And my daughter is, every time I'm tucking her into bed, she goes, Dada, you're going to play soccer? That's culture. And we've ignored the adult community in a big way. So Stu did an amazing job that it started with a tweet to bring a bunch of adults together and raise some money, nearly $400,000 right now. Go to his website, Kick In for Houston, look at his Twitter feed. You can still donate because relief after a hurricane takes many years, not months.